4 years ago, I lost my job. My relationship fell apart, and I had to move back in with my parents at 27 years old. But here's the thing, that was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why the worst seasons of your life might actually be God preparing you for your greatest breakthrough. And I'm going to prove it to you with 3 biblical examples that will completely change how you see your current situations. The first one is going to blow your mind. I'm standing in my childhood bedroom at 2 a.m., staring at rejection email number 47. And I thought, God, if you called me to help people, why does every door keep slamming in my face? And that's when it hit me. I was asking the wrong question. You see, most of us think that God's calling on our lives should feel like a greenlit highway, no traffic, no obstacles, just smooth sailing all the way to our destiny. But that's not what the Bible shows us. Look at Joseph. He literally had dreams from God about his future. But before he became second in command of Egypt, he got thrown into a pit by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused of assault, and locked in prison for years. Here's what no one tells you about that story. Every single tragedy was actually preparation. The pit taught him humility, slavery taught him excellence under pressure, prison taught him to interpret dreams, and in every single situation, he had to manage people in crisis. When Pharaoh needed someone to save Egypt from famine, Joseph wasn't just qualified, he was the only person in the world who could do the job. But here's the key. If you had asked Joseph in the prison cell, is this God's blessing? He probably would have laughed at you. The blessing was disguised as a problem for 13 years. And I realized something sitting in that bedroom. My rejections weren't roadblocks, they were redirections. Each no was teaching me something I'd need for the yes that was yet to come. That job loss, it forced me to follow my purpose. That relationship ending, it showed me toxic patterns I needed to break. Moving back home, it was humbling and it strengthened my relationship with my family. 3 months later, everything clicked into place in ways I never could have planned. You see, this is so interesting to me. You see, we want our calling to come from our strengths, our talents, our victories, but often it comes from our wounds. Think about it. Who's more qualified to help someone overcome addiction? Someone who read about it in a textbook or someone who watched it destroy their family? Who can better counsel a person through depression? A person who studied psychology or someone who clawed their way out of the darkness themselves? This is the contrast effect. Your greatest pain becomes your greatest platform. Look at the Apostle Paul. Before he was Paul, he was Saul, literally hunting down, killing Christians. His past should have disqualified him from ministry. Instead, it became his greatest credential. When Paul talked about God's grace, people listened because they thought, if God can forgive and use someone like that, maybe there's hope for me too. Your mess becomes your message. Your test becomes your testimony. Your wound becomes your weapon against the enemy. But here's the catch. You can't skip the wound part. You can't manufacture authenticity. You can't fake the kind of depth that comes from real struggle. The people who impact the most lives aren't the ones who have never faced problems. They're the ones who faced problems and came out on the other side stronger. There are people right now whose expertise in solving problems exists because they understand grief in ways that can only come from experiencing it. Their past wasn't wasted. It was transformed into purpose. And the crazy part is, their loss, as devastating as it was, ultimately led them to save hundreds of other people's lives. The problem became the solution. Now, this is where it gets a little bit mind-bending, and I need you to stick with me on this one. I'm reading through the book of Ecclesiastes last week, and I come across this verse, to everything there is a season. and a time for every purpose under heaven. And I realized something. We focus so much on the purpose part that we forget the timing part. God's timing is everything. Think about it. David was anointed king when he was probably 16, 17 years old. Clear calling. Prophet Samuel literally poured oil on his head, but he didn't actually become king until he was 30. That's 13 to 14 years of waiting, 13 to 14 years of King Saul trying to kill him, 13 to 14 years of hiding in caves, eating scraps, wondering if he misheard God. Why the delay? Because 17-year-old David wasn't ready to be king. He was brave enough to fight Goliath, but he wasn't mature enough to lead or rule a nation. Those wilderness years weren't wasted time. They were development time. He learned a valuable skill, leadership. He learned to lead a ragtag group of outcasts and turn them into mighty men. He learned to worship God even when life was falling apart. He learned that the kingdom of God isn't built on human strength, but on dependence on God. When David finally became king, he wasn't just the boy who killed a giant. He was a man who could unite a nation and establish a dynasty that would last forever. But here's the crazy part. If you had asked David at age 25, living in a cave, running for his life, are you living in God's will? What do you think he would have said? Probably not. But he was exactly where God needed him to be, learning exactly what he needed to learn for exactly the right time. That's the mystery of God's timing. What looks like delay is actually preparation. What feels like detour is actually development. I think about my own life. All those years I spent in jobs I hated, relationships that didn't work out, dreams that got crushed. I used to think those years were wasted. Now I realize those are preparation years. Every skill I learned, every mistake I made, every lesson I absorbed, it's all being used now in ways I never could have imagined. Timing wasn't wrong. I was just looking at it from the wrong angle. So here's what I want you to understand. And this might change everything for you. Your problems aren't evidence that God has forgotten about you. They're evidence that He's preparing for you something so big you can't even imagine it. That job loss? Maybe it's because He has something for you that doesn't exist yet. That relationship that ended? Maybe because the person He has for you is still becoming who they need to be. That door that closed? Maybe the door He's opening is so much better that you'll thank Him for the door that closed. Your current struggle isn't your final destination. It is your training ground. And here's the beautiful part. Every hero's story has a wilderness season. Every breakthrough is preceded by a breakdown. Every promotion is preceded by a testing. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're not disqualified. You're being prepared. So the next time you're tempted to think God has forgotten about you, remember Joseph in the prison. Remember David in the cave. And Paul on the road to Damascus. Their biggest problems became their biggest platforms. Their greatest pain became their greatest power. Their worst seasons became their best stories. And yours will too. What problem in your life right now might actually be preparation in disguise? Let me know down in the comments below. And if this paradigm shift helped you see your struggles differently, smash that like button and subscribe for more content on finding purpose in pain. Your breakthrough is coming. You're closer than you think.